Today on the channel, we have a special guest, long time awaited, Clément Mihailescu.
Great pronunciation.
Wait, how do I pronounce it?
Mihailescu.
Mihailescu. Since he's in the video, I don't think he goes anywhere, like on anyone's channel or does anything without mentioning Algo Expert. So there's really no way to avoid Algo Expert being in this video. I just looked at it for the first time. I do have to admit, it looks pretty good. I guess a lot of people are passing the interviews from it. Yeah. What is it?
Sorry, and I didn't influence Nick. I was right here watching him look at the platform for the first time. It's kind of funny that you hadn't looked at the platform before.
Yeah, I never looked at it before until this video. Yeah, there was no avoiding Algo Expert in this video. It's obviously going to be in this video, so it's in this video.
I think it would make sense to give a promo code for your viewers. So you can just give the promo code like Nick or Nick White, and we can like make that a thing.
Yo, promo code for some discount right here. It's just my name, Nick. If you want to go check out this platform that's super popular, this guy gets a lot, has, freaking a lot of people that look up to him and follow him, and gets a lot of freaking LinkedIn likes, which I started copying him. The link is in the description for Algo Expert. Go check it out. Maybe you'll like it. And if you don't, too bad. So, studying for coding interviews. Okay, I'm studying for my coding interviews. You are like some kind of expert. Where did you work? Google or Facebook or something?
Google and Facebook or something, yeah.
Okay, Google and Facebook. So I didn't work at Google and Facebook. So you are technically the smarter coding interview passer.
I don't know that it's necessarily the only outcome or conclusion that you can draw from that, but I'm decently well-versed in coding interviews.
What am I doing wrong? What are my study habits that are wrong? What do I need to be doing? I'm studying for 30 days. I want to freaking pass the interviews. I want to get the offer.
Yeah.
So what do I need to do though?
So let's get you those offers. So first of all, false premise. I don't know that you're necessarily doing anything wrong, but let's try to figure that out. The funny thing is that if you're preparing for 30 days, that's kind of similar to how I prepped for my initial interviews at Google. I had even a little bit less time. I think I've always said on YouTube that I had like 10 days of ultimate prep, and I had a little bit of buffer right before. But so the point is you have a very short period of time. Let's try to optimize that. So step number one that I really have to emphasize is make sure that you have your foundational data structures knowledge. I think you do, okay. Right? You're pretty well versed.
I've got that.
Yeah. Like, you know what a linked list is, Big O.
I got that, yeah. I watched the videos on it. I took some Coursera courses. I went to college. I pretty much think I'm good.
So that's perfect. On Algo Expert, we have a crash course that takes 10 hours to watch fully, and you can kind of rebrush up your data structures knowledge. But then step number two is pick your language. So what programming language are you going to be using for your interviews?
Okay, this is actually hard for me because most of my industry experience is with JavaScript. All the stuff I did in school mostly was Python, and then all the stuff I did for all my interview prep before was Java. So I like them all equally and know them all equally. What do you think is the best one?
Okay,
I don't even know.
First of all, I have to guess that you just lied to me because there's no way I'm going to believe that you like Java equally to Python and JavaScript. Like, Java is
Dude, I like Java. Java's kind of good.
Really? Okay, so here's what I was going to say. You're in an actually interesting situation if you've done all three of those languages. Because the classic recommendation is to go with Python, just because Python is really easy syntactically. So it's very difficult to make a Python syntax error in a coding interview. Whereas if you're coding in C++, you can very easily do a syntax error. You forget to allocate memory or whatever.
I totally agree with that, but I will say Python is super simple. I do like that. But the problem is the data structures in Java, when you actually type them out, it's the name of the data. It's so easy with the name of the data structure, the type that's going into the data structure, and all the methods and stuff like that. I just feel in Java compared to Python, what a set in Python is 2 parentheses.
Right.
Or you know what I mean? It's a little bit more weird. And in Java, it's super it is what you type, kind of.
Yeah, and in some languages, in JavaScript, for instance, you're not going to have a de facto class for a particular data
a dictionary
structure.
also is like freaking curly braces.
Right, but like, so ultimately, okay, here's my ultimate recommendation. Like, Python is just the classic confusing recommendation, but I would probably recommend do what you're most comfortable in. If that's Java, fuck it, do Java. Sorry, I don't know. If you want, we can cut out the cursing, but do Java.
No, dude, it's all good. Okay, study habits. Okay, let me tell you what I have noticed dramatically changes my studying is... Dude, first of all, sleeping and eating healthy. Like, I was doing coding interview questions, I think 2 nights ago on stream, and I ate Popeyes, and I had to end the stream basically right after. Because, like, dude, as soon as I had the Popeyes, I was, like, falling asleep in my chair and stuff like that. But when I'm eating healthy and, like, sleeping really good, or even if you're exercising or something like that, like, just, I don't know, something about that, like, I think, like, way more clear. I don't know if that's, like, a thing that you agree with.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think that at the end of the day, like, prepping for coding interviews, especially if you have to do it in a short period of time, is like any other mentally taxing activity. You want to make sure that you're, like, taking care of yourself and of your health. I don't know why some people think that if they have to do crunch time for coding interviews, they have to throw their health, like, out the window.
Yo, like 4 Red Bulls, like Skittles, like chips and stuff, and they're just sitting there, like, grinding.
Like, I'm a big proponent of working hard, and I've said that sometimes, I'll do, like, 10, 12-hour days. But 10 or 12-hour days are only possible if you're getting your sleep and if you're eating healthy and exercising, right? If you're not doing those things, you're going to be like a zombie, and you're not going to do well in your coding interviews. Like, I actually eat kind of a lot of McDonald's. I love McDonald's, but, like...
Same here.
So then the next thing that I wanted to talk about, Nick, is making sure that you have, like, a good question bank to practice from. Because one of the things...
Okay, I agree with that.
Like, the thing about coding interview questions is that they're not all created equal. Some coding interview questions are really bad, and also, like, sometimes they're very repetitive coding interview questions.
True.
And, like, you want to make sure that you have a good curated list of questions. Obviously, I'll plug in Algo Expert here again. We've got 100 questions that we've specifically selected to cover your bases. But do make sure you do that.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think high impact questions are the main things to get the concepts, like getting the best questions.
Yep.
To, like, understand that stuff.
And, like, there are certain questions, like, for instance, the recent mock coding interview that I did on my YouTube channel that used, like, tries to solve, like, a string problem. Some of these questions, you really get a lot of value from them because you see, like, an interesting data structure. You see an interesting, like, algorithmic paradigm. It's a really good, like, coding practice, right? So yeah, just make sure that you have good questions. But now the next thing to focus on is, like, how you're going to approach the questions. And here, it's really important to know how good are you at coding interviews. So, like, if you're someone who's experienced, like, for instance, you're pretty experienced, like, you've done a lot of coding interviews, but right now you just kind of, like, need to practice again. I see that smile, but, like, you know you are. The key for someone like you, I think, is to say, okay,
Genius.
I have my curated list of questions, and if I'm feeling rusty, I'm going to start with the easy questions and work my way up to the very hard ones. So if you're using Algo Expert, you order the questions by difficulty, and you literally go easy, medium, hard, etc.
That's what I'm doing right now. I'm doing easy, then medium, then hard. That kind of makes sense, right?
It makes sense, right? It's like, it's not rocket science. It makes sense. But if you're someone, let's say, who's like, I'm really good at linked lists and binary trees. Like, I don't need to reverse another linked list or invert another binary tree, but I'm kind of bad at dynamic programming, or, like, I'm rusty in dynamic programming. Then, like, don't waste your time reversing a linked list for the nth time, right? Go order the questions by category and, like, do all the DP questions, right? And really focus on that.
Yeah. And then, like, as you go from the beginning, I notice, like, the problems are just combination of other problems. Like, you do, like, reverse a linked list, and then you do valid palindrome, and then is a linked list, find if a linked list is a palindrome.
Right.
So it's, like, both of them, and then it goes even higher than that for, like, string, and then, like, then it's backtracking, and then it's, like, all that crap.
Exactly.
So
like, reversing a linked list is a kind of, like, almost a meme in the tech community, but it's often not going to be like the interview problem, you're unlikely to be told reverse a linked list, but you might have a coding interview problem where you have to reverse the linked list within it, right?
True.
Like what you just said, basically. But the next thing that's really important to do is, like, again, this depends on how good you are and also how much time you have to prep. Figure out how much time you're going to allocate per day to coding interviews. Because, like, if you've got a year to prep or 6 months, you don't need to necessarily do 8 hours a day. You could do like a question a day.
True.
Like a question a day, question every other day. But if you're like you, where you have 30 days, and you're also doing like systems design and other stuff, then it's like, okay, you got to hunker down, do like 3 to 4 hours, maybe like 8 hours a day at the very end, and like
8 hours a day, baby. Yeah. Some people. Well, I think the one thing that I just realized is that, I don't know, dude. I feel like there's like a specific amount of like memory in your brain, and I feel like I gotta like kind of cram a little bit. Like if you're really coming up on the interviews, I feel like you should have like heavy days of programming, maybe the week before or something. Like heavy days doing the questions, because I feel like that stuff, if it's not fresh in your mind, like I feel like I need it like in my mind, because I forget. I just like forget it, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And it's like I would almost say like,
but it sucks because some people have families and stuff, so they can't even do that.
Right. Like everybody's got different commitments and life situations, but like I will say that practice and getting a lot of practice in is really important, even for that like mind, muscle, memory, or whatever you want to call it, of like you start to see the patterns, you really like live and breathe the algos, and like they speak to you on a like spiritual level, and like I'm exaggerating a bit, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I was going to say is like
we did it twice.
Sorry, I think there's like a tiny bit of lag. That's probably why we're doing that. But the last thing that I was going to say is like you want to make sure when you're doing these coding interview prep problems that you also actually like look at an optimal solution. Because what I used to do way back, like when I was at my coding boot camp, is I would do coding interview problems on like an online platform, and I would never look at the like solution, because that platform like didn't have solutions. And so I'd be like super happy to be like, yeah, I passed this problem with like, the n cubed time. And it's like, wait a second, that's like, you would fail your interview if you did that, right? So you want to make sure that you look at an optimal solution and understand why it's an optimal solution. And so like if you're someone who's a beginner, or if you just like don't know how to solve a problem, then on Algo Expert, I'm going to plug Algo Expert. You go look at the video explanation.
I get a lot of comments and a lot of things on, especially the tutorial videos. Some people try and do this stuff and they don't, like you said, they don't know the data structures, which you gotta kind of have like exposure to them first. And then they don't know time complexity either. Like they don't get the difference of solutions, like time complexity and space complexity. Like you literally need to know that. Otherwise, you're not gonna know how to make. You're gonna be like, oh, this works. Submit. Like that's good, but
exactly,
are you gonna freaking know that versus like another way of doing it?
And it's like it's very important, because like I've had people message me who are like, hey, I found an alternate solution to this problem and it passes the test case, and you dig a little bit into it and you're like, okay, but you're using a double for loop here, so you've got an n squared solution, and like this problem can be solved in n log n, and like the whole point of this problem is to see if you can find the n log n solution, right? So it's like very important to watch the video explanation or look at the written solutions and make sure that you understand it. But if you're someone who's like experienced and who's very good, like you again, Nick, not trying to butter you up, but like I think you're pretty good, and so like,
hey, it's true.
Like maybe like maybe you don't have to spend an hour on a video explanation. Maybe you can just like skim through the video explanation, or you're just like, okay, let me just quickly double check that my solution is the optimal one. Okay, yeah, n log n, mine is n log n, boom, next question, right? So like you have to know yourself, basically.
Yeah, also, dude, the way people write code in the freaking solutions sometimes sucks.
Yes.
So that's kind of annoying. Like, some people like, oh, one-line Java solution, one-line whatever solution. It's like, dude, come on, what are you doing? And then they write some crazy crap. And then there's some people that write, like, just junk that doesn't even need to be in there. So, yeah, some of the code people write sucks. So you got to find the good code.
Okay. Yeah, and just about what you just said, yeah, I see a lot of people, especially in like JavaScript and Python, who like to do those like one-line solutions. Like in Python, they'll name their variables
Python
with, like,
for sure,
one letter, and they'll do all these like little hacks, and it's like, that's cool. And like in some scenarios, that's good. Maybe in like competitive programming where you're really trying to be like super fast.
Programming.
But like in a coding interview, that like you're gonna flunk the coding section, right? Like you will not do well if you do that. So
they want they want descriptive variable names and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, readable code, like good practices and all that.
Cool. Yeah. That is something too. So freaking write good code. Write code like me. Or like Clément, even though I haven't seen any of his code, but it's probably maybe good if you've gotten to Google, I guess. All right, dude. I don't know. Is that kind of good? What else would there be?
I think it's good. The last point that I had thought about was like whether you want to time yourself in your coding interviews.
I never even focused on that. You could talk about that. Maybe that's somewhere I'm going wrong. Timing myself. I never did that.
Sure. So like the tip that I would give about timing is like if you are rusty or if you're a beginner, don't focus necessarily on time. Like just do the coding interviews, struggle through them, see if you can get to the solution, then watch the explanation, blah, blah, blah. If you're pretty experienced and you're like, okay, I just need to hunker down and practice, I think timing yourself will be valuable. Like putting 45 minutes on the clock and just analyzing whether or not you can solve a hard or a very hard problem or a medium problem in 45 minutes is going to be a good indication of like how prepared you are.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe I'll try that. And, one other thing people always ask about is when they try and do a question, how fast to look at the solution. What do you say to them?
Here's like, it depends on how much time you have to prep. Because I know that like typically a lot of people, the canonical advice is, struggle through the problem, take some time, and then only when you're really stuck, look at the solution. And that's good advice. But if you have 10 days to prep, and you're like at the last 4 days and you still want to go through like 50 questions, sometimes you got to break the rules a bit, right? Maybe it's like read the prompt, look at the video solution instantly, and then see if you can code it out, right? That way you're doing a problem in like 20 minutes. You're getting a bit of that like exposure to the problem, and you're not wasting time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I personally tell people to give up pretty much if they can't figure it out, dude. I mean, if you can't figure it out, like, you could sit there for like an hour and waste your time, but I'd say just look it up and learn it. You know what I mean? Because when you look at it, you can pretty much just learn. You can figure out, you can, like, just do it, look at the thing until it clicks, and then just redo it 2 days later and see if you could do it.
The key is redoing it. That way you just confirm that you actually internalized it and not just like, oh yeah, I get how it is, and then like 2 days later, you're like, I don't know how to reverse a linked list. Yeah.
Like, dude, rotate an array. I didn't know I forgot how to do it off the top of my head. Boom. Now right in my head because I looked at it a few days ago. Reverse the whole array, then reverse first K digits, and then reverse last K digits. Boom. Right? Is that right?
Boom.
I hope that's right. I think that's right. All right, so this is Clément. His channel is in the description. You probably might subscribe to him. If you don't, subscribe to him. And it, meeting of the minds. Oh, that was cringe. All right, dude. So like this video.
What am I witnessing right now?
Goodbye.